Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to this Monday, July 15th, 2024 regular meeting of the Board of Education, Wayne-Westland Community Schools. The first item on the agenda is 100.25, Pledge Allegiance to the Flag. If you could all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is 101.25, which is the roll call and attendance. Ms. Hines?
Ms. Abney Mitchell.
Present.
Dr. Weaver.
Present.
Ms. Hines present. Ms. May.
Present.
Mr. Neal.
Here.
Mr. Cox.
Present.
President Gray.
Present.
7-0. We have a full house.
All right. The next item on the agenda is 102.25, which is citizens' comments on agenda items. Just a reminder, if you did wish to speak during the citizens' comments section, there are forms to fill out at the door. We do have one right now to speak. If you are still wishing to speak, you still have time to fill one out. If we move on from this section, I'll just call on you when we do the citizens' comments section at the end. We do not have anybody for agenda items. Is that correct? Okay. Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is 103.25, consent agenda.
Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Okay. Do I have any questions, comments, any from the board? All right, seeing none. Ms. Hines?
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Ms. Abney Mitchell.
Yes.
Dr. Weaver.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Ms. May.
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. President Gray.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right. Next item on the agenda is 104.25, Board of Education Committee reports. The first report we have is from Dr. Weaver on the Policy Committee.
The Wayne-Westland Community Schools Board of Trustees held a Policy Committee meeting on Tuesday, June 18th at 2 p.m. Dr. Weaver and Mrs. Hines were present. Policy Committee reviewed policy changes sent by Miller Johnson, reviewed the annual notifications, and discussed policies pertaining to the hearing committee and student behavior. The committee discussed revisions that may be necessary with the board operating procedures and proposed a board workshop facilitated by the Michigan Association of School Boards. The next Policy Committee meeting is scheduled for August 13th, 2024 at 2 p.m. Meeting was adjourned at 3:44 p.m.
Thank you. The next one is Finance Committee report. Ms. May?
Thank you. Good evening. The Finance Committee meeting of the Board of Trustees of Wayne-Westland Community Schools met on Monday, July 8th, 2024, beginning at 5 p.m. Ms. May, Mrs. Abney Mitchell, and Mr. Gray were present. Mr. Montaigne advised the committee that the above-ground storage tank soil removal costs will be covered by the insurance company. Mrs. Polakevich presented a curricular resource for high school sciences that will be piloted by 8 teachers in the fall. The resource is called Open Sci Ed. There is a cost for both consumable and non-consumable materials associated with the pilot. The training for the pilot is covered by Wayne Risa. This will come before the board this evening. Mrs. Curry shared the renewal quote for EduClimber. EduClimber was described as a student performance data platform that the district utilizes to disaggregate data, track interventions for academics and behavior. The district has used EduClimber since 2020. The committee inquired about usage expectations and usage fidelity. Mrs. Curry also shared the renewal of supplementary resources of a supplementary resource used in the elementary buildings, Studies Weekly. The resource adapts to meet students' needs in both language and reading levels. Mrs. Curry shared information regarding the renewal of NWEA, which is the platform we use for benchmark testing. The committee inquired about how the results are used and the testing schedule. The committee requested that the board and community receive multiple presentations regarding student performance data. Mrs. Curry suggested 3 presentations a year, September, January, and May, based upon the test administration schedule. Mrs. Campbell explained various fiscal reports, including graphs that are similar in nature to the reports Mr. Walsh presented to the board to assist with monitoring the budget. The committee provided feedback and asked questions about the information presented. Mrs. Campbell also provided the State of Michigan State Aid Financial Status Report and the State School Aid Update as a point of reference. The committee asked to receive this information moving forward. Mrs. Campbell presented the investment report and check register. Mrs. Campbell also provided an update on the state aid loan process and the food service contract approval from MDE. Mrs. Campbell and Mrs. Curry provided a brief update regarding the approved state aid budget and how our district is impacted. A budget amendment is forthcoming. Mrs. Curry provided closing remarks. The committee thanked Mrs. Curry and her team. The meeting was adjourned at 6:52 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. May. And then we have the Property Committee.
Property Committee met on Monday, July 8th at 11 a.m. Dr. Weaver was present at the meeting with administration. The Property Committee brainstormed several different ideas regarding the district's properties and buildings. It was discussed that Marshall is not worth much as it sits. The cost to demolish the building is approximately $2.8 million, and the empty lot would only sell for approximately a little over $1 million. The committee also discussed enrollment and staffing pertaining to building utilization. The next policy committee meeting is scheduled for August 7th at 11 a.m. The meeting was adjourned at 12:59 p.m.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 105.25, review and approval of business service and finance. Ms. Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. President. The item that I have to present to you today is on behalf of Acting Superintendent Ms. Curry. As the board and the community were previously informed, the district received a letter dated June 6th from the State of Michigan Department of Treasury that informed us that we are being declared as potential fiscal distress. There were two options that the district was given as a result. The first was to enter into a formal contract with Wayne-Risa for an administrative review, and Risa then reports quarterly to Treasury. The second option was for the district to work directly with Treasury and submit monthly reports directly to the state. After meeting with Treasury to learn more about each option, Acting Superintendent Curry and I agree that the district should choose to work directly with Treasury. There's no cost to this option, and they work closely with the district to provide technical support and other resources, such as strategic planning, data research for decision-making, financial analysis and projections, and board training to avoid a future decline in our fund balance. In addition, this method will provide the necessary support for us to improve financial stability as quickly as possible. We recommend that the Board of Education approves option number 2 to work directly with the Treasury Department to resolve the district's fiscal distress.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Do I have a motion support?
Support.
Okay. So moved. Okay. Do I have any comments from the board? Ms. Travis? No? Okay. All right. Seeing none, Ms. Hines?
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Abney Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
President Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay.
Good evening, Board and community. I will be presenting the next 4 recommendations to the Board on behalf of Ms. Curry and the CIA Department. The first one is dealing with the purchase of the Open SciEd high school science kits. And before I present the recommendation, I'd like to pivot to Ms. Polakevich to give you a little bit more information on it.
Sure.
Thank you, President Gray and Board of Education. There were a few questions at the Finance Committee meeting, so I just wanted to clarify a couple things about the process and why it's a pilot and why only 8 teachers were a part of it. So Wayne-Risa started this process late. They started rolling some of these things out in about March and realized that most districts have a lengthy process to approve curriculum, so kind of turned it into a pilot. We took volunteers since it's a pilot, and curriculum pilots by design are for volunteers so that we can kind of have a control group and our new pilot so we can compare data. We do have 8 out of 16 teachers on board, and we do have representation from John Glenn, Way Memorial, and the Innovative Academy. And then we will use the data that's collected from both sets of teachers to show impact on student achievement. This curriculum Open SciEd is an open resource, but the kits are the science materials of what we're asking for to run the science experiments. It's a phenomenon-based teaching using NGSX standards, so it's a very different style of teaching using storylines and inquiry and really challenging the way that students think. So it's a very different way of teaching. Having that data to support how our students will show impact on their student achievement will be helpful to us moving forward. I just wanted to clarify some of that. Thank you.
Any questions?
Well, do we have a motion to put it?
I have a question.
Do we have a motion first to?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Sorry, support.
Okay. Ms. May?
Mrs. Polakevich, don't sit down yet. Sorry.
That's why
I was trying to hurry up. So first of all, thank you so much for coming this evening and sharing. Of
course.
I'm sure you know Mrs. Curry and I had a conversation afterwards, so I just appreciate the follow-up. One of the questions that I do have, I do appreciate everything that you shared because that has answered some questions for me.
Good.
I'm just curious, when I was looking at the strategic plan and one of the goals and the plans in terms of the department heads and how they would support and monitor. So how will that work with this piece? Our department heads are they a part of the pilot? Will they be able to support both? Because I'm assuming department heads are also teaching. So will they be able to teach and support?
Yes, they'll be able to support in our district lead for science for all of our buildings is also a big proponent of this, so that will be part of that whole discussion to support that moving forward. So we'll have some really good leaders amongst that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I got a question.
Ms. Abney Mitchell?
So when will we expect to get the first data, the process, and how is it going? When will we get the first?
We would do it probably after first semester. We'd be able to update you after they have a few units. So the way that the PD is set up, they do have some PD in August that they're going to, and then there's PD periodically throughout the year. This curriculum is set up in units, so there's different units throughout the year. So we should be able to get through probably 2 units in a semester. So we'll be able to have that data, and they'll have their final exams completed and all of that. So we should still have some data. We're also going to have some surveys for students about their learning. How do they enjoy this learning versus other learning? So, and I think that that's important that we have that information from students as well. So we'll have that to share.
And I know you shared in the finance committee meeting, but what is the continuing cost? So if we like the pilot program and continue it next year, what will be the cost?
So the kits are based on each course. So it would be similar. Next year would be kind of the highest cost, was we'd have to purchase kits for the other remaining 8 teachers and those those consumable materials. And then the year after it would dip because we would only have to get the consumable materials. So the next year might be closer. I don't have it in front of me, but closer to like 75,000, I think, 80, and then it would dip to probably 30 or 40 based on, based on the number of classes, because the kits are built based on the courses that we teach.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Weaver and then Ms. May again.
Why the necessity of this? How is it differing from our regular science program?
So our science curriculum at our high school has kind of been piecemeal. Teachers are doing some different things. So we're looking for some type of curriculum that our teachers can all teach and be kind of continuous throughout our district, including the Innovative Academy. This style of teaching, most of us had science where we learned some things from the teacher. They spoke to us, they lectured, we went into a lab, we did a lab, we wrote a report, and kind of that cycle continued. This is where students will come up with a problem and a solution, and they will go through and do lots of inquiry based of how to solve the problem and what's happening. It's throughout solving these problems in science. So it's a very kind of different way of looking at it, where it's much more student-centered and students learning that science, those science skills, instead of just the teacher standing and delivering information.
Ms. May, you had another?
Yeah, just a follow-up question to Mrs. Abney Mitchell in terms of costs. So I know we talked about this a little bit in finance, but were you able to do any follow-up with Wayne-Risa to find out if we decided to go with this curriculum, if those additional 8 teachers would be able to be trained under Risa, or if not, what would be the cost for that training for those additional 8 teachers?
I did not have the opportunity to do that, but I definitely can. Nathan Spencer's one of the RISA consultants, and he is trained as a trainer for biology. So I anticipate, based on some conversations with him, that this will continue because there was such an interest throughout the county, and they can only fit so many people in the training. But
Okay. Thank you.
you sure? Okay.
All right. I don't believe we have any other questions from the board.
So I'll do the recommendation.
I'm sorry?
Want me to do the recommendation?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. Sorry, we did the motion earlier.
Okay, so I am recommending that the Board of Education approve the purchase of the Open Science Ed high school science kits at the cost not to exceed $57,163. These costs would be covered by the general fund.
Okay. Now do I have a motion?
So moved.
And support?
Support.
Okay. Any other comments by the board? All right, Ms. Hine?
Miss Abney Mitchell,
No.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Miss May,
Yes.
Miss Hines, yes. President Gray,
Yes.
we have 6-1. Motion passes.
Second one, I'm recommending the Board of Education approve the renewal of EduClimber software, the license, at the cost to not exceed $54,828. These costs would be covered by the general fund.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have support?
Support.
Okay. Any questions from the board? All right, seeing none, Ms. Hines, if you want to count.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Miss May,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Miss Abney Mitchell, Miss Hines, yes. President Gray,
Yes.
motion passes 6-1.
Next one, I am recommending the Board of Education approve the purchase of social, or Studies Weekly at the cost not to exceed $31,145. These costs would be covered by the general fund.
All right, do I have a motion? Oh,
So moved.
do I have support?
Support.
Okay, do you have any comments? All right, seeing none, Ms. Hines, the vote?
Dr. Weaver,
No.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Miss May,
Yes.
Miss Abney Mitchell,
Yes.
Miss Hines, yes. President Gray,
Yes.
so we have the 6-1? 6-1.
Okay, the last one, I'm recommending the Board of Education approve the renewal of the NWEA license at a cost not to exceed $117,452. These costs would be covered by the general fund and the 1041 grant funds also.
Do I have a motion?
So support? I'm so moved, I'm sorry.
Do I have support? All right, do I have any?
Question.
Dr. Weaver?
What does NWEA provide for us for that 117,000?
I'm going to go through exactly what was written up, just so you know. Provides benchmark testing for all kindergarten through 12th grade students. Math and reading benchmark testing is required by the state. NWA provides Wayne-Westland with one common testing platform. The curriculum instruction and assessment team would be presenting the data from testing early this fall to the board and community in an upcoming board meeting.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Gray.
Mr. Neal?
What happens if we do not approve this?
Kim, can you answer that, because I'm not exactly sure.
Well, we do have to have some benchmark testing for some of our grants, at least in the K-8 level. The K-8 space, the state usually reimburses us 50% for the cost of NWEA. But essentially, this is where we benchmark to see that our interventions and all of that are doing, because it's standardized. And they do take, the test is normed so that they take like students of ours. So students are based on like students in the nation, instead of just kind of I need to go over there. They're normed against like students in the area or at the grade level, socioeconomic, ethnicity. We also use NWEA for our special ed students for their IEPs for making goals. And I know that Nancy Schulz has used especially a lot of the K-5 to show that a lot of our interventions that are like really great reading and those types of things, that data that you showed, to show that we've had some really good increases because of how the test is normed.
All right. Dr.
Teacher
Weaver?
evaluation it's used on. Thanks, my friends.
Are these the same tests year after year provided, or do they change constantly?
They change. It's actually computer adaptive. So as students answer questions correct, they'll get harder questions, or if they don't, they'll get some easier questions, so that it kind of gets, it's called a RIT score. It tells us kind of where they're at in comparison to all of their peers. So every grade level gets a different test, and then they calibrate the questions based on their answers.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Neal?
Is there another benchmark test available? And if there is, one way or the other, is there a learning curve involved for our people to utilize these programs?
There is. Our teachers very much know that this platform. There are other tests. Star Renaissance is a test. I used that in a previous district. Star Renaissance isn't as robust. We actually moved from Star Renaissance to NWEA because of the data that we get. There's some really great reports that teachers can pull where they will put kids based on skills from the test that they excel in or that they may need help in, so that teachers can use that to group some students when they differentiate instruction. iExcel is another one. That's another expensive program. So there are other things, but NWA is the one that is used the most within the whole state, and the one that our teachers are familiar with.
Ms. Abney Mitchell?
And this is a yearly cost, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And like I said, there will be some, usually the state will reimburse us for part of our K through 8 students.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
All right. Seeing no other remarks, Ms. Hines, the roll call?
Ms. Abney Mitchell,
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Ms. May,
Yes.
President Gray,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Toko. The next item on the agenda is 107.25, review and approval of human resource items. Dr. Feely?
All right, thank you, President Gray. At this time, it's my pleasure to make a recommendation for several administrative positions, starting with the recommendation for Ms. Stacy Bukowski to become the next principal at Adams Middle School. Ms. Bukowski comes to us with an Associates of Arts from Washtenaw Community College, a Bachelor's of Science from Eastern Michigan University, a Master's of Education from Concordia University. She also has certification, a professional teaching certificate with secondary in English and speech, a professional administrator certificate with elementary and secondary admin K-12. And she has previous professional experiences as a lab and mentor teacher at Washtenaw Alliance Virtual Education. She was an English and language arts teacher for us in Wayne-Westland, as well as an English and language arts teacher in Ypsilanti Community Schools. And most recently, she was an assistant principal and the interim principal at Adams Middle School. At this time, I'd like to make a recommendation for Ms. Bukowski to become our next principal at Adams.
Move approval. Okay.
Support.
Okay. Do you have any questions from the board? Any comments? All right. Ms. Hines?
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Ms. Abney Mitchell?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Mr. Cox?
Yes.
President Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Well, I want to say thank you so much. I was the interim at Adams from January on, so I'm honored to be the principal. I love Adams Middle School. I love the students. I love the staff. So really excited about this opportunity. So thank you. I brought my family with me tonight, and my son and daughter, and then my husband, and my other daughter is actually working tonight, so she couldn't be here. But thank you very much. I appreciate you all.
Congratulations.
All right, the next recommendation I would like to make is for Mr. Matthew Furka to be the next principal at Hicks Elementary School. Mr. Furka comes to us with a Bachelor's of Science from Eastern Michigan University, a Master's of Arts in Administration from Eastern Michigan University, elementary and secondary admin K-12 professional admin certification, along with professional education certificate in elementary K-5 all subjects and K-8 all subjects in self-contained classroom, along with language arts K-8 certification. Mr. Furka started off his career as a teacher with the Professional Education Services. He was also a teacher for us in the school district, and most recently, he was an assistant principal here in the district. At this time, I would like to make a recommendation for Mr. Matthew Furka to become the next Hicks principal.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Do you have any questions from the board?
What are some comments? I'm really
Okay,
excited
Ms.
about
Hines.
this because he did such a great job at Hicks, and then with Miss G leaving, it's like really cool for the kids. So I'm glad that we're able to get you back there.
Ms. Abby Mitchell?
You know I'm excited. I just went over there and told him how many kids, grandkids of mine that's going to high school. All 4 of them will be in John Glenn next year, and he had all 4 of them, so.
That's exciting.
So that's exciting to see him to make it to principal. Thank you. Congratulations. Oh, we got a boy on the first.
All right, seeing no further comments, Ms. Hines, the roll call?
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Ms. May?
Yes.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Ms. Abney Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
First off, I want to say thank you for the kind comments. And, you know, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and it truly takes a village to raise a principal as well. And I wouldn't be where I'm at with a lot of the people in this room. Some of these people to my right started with me when I entered Hicks years ago, and I will be happy to be back with some of them. And because some of them aren't at Hicks anymore, so it came out a little bit wrong. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention Kate Brohl, who has been by my side since day one when I was a grade level leader on the leadership team and on curriculum adoption committees. And along with her and Jana Babiak, I would not be the leader that I am because of last year at Wildwood. It was a truly spectacular year at Wildwood. The staff there needs to be commended because they're wonderful, and so does Jana. and I will miss them terribly, but I'm so looking forward to being back home and to being with my Hicks staff that I've been with for so long, and most importantly, the kids.
Yep.
I love the kids at Hicks, and I'm so excited to get back and do good things with them. Thank you very much, everyone here.
All right, next up, I'd like to make a recommendation for Mr. Scott Kelly to become the next principal at John Glenn High School. Mr. Kelly comes to us with a Bachelor's of Science from Grand Valley State University, a Bachelor's of Arts from Western Governors University, and a Master's of Science from Concordia University. He has professional administrator certificate along with elementary and secondary admin cert. And prior to Mr. Kelly assuming this position, he was a long-term sub in Heartland Consolidated Schools, a long-term sub in Milford High School, an SLC leader and teacher in Ypsilanti Community Schools, an assistant principal in Adrian Public Schools, and most recently an assistant principal with us at John Glenn, an interim principal at John Glenn for this past school year. At this time, I'd like to make a recommendation for Mr. Kelly to become the next principal of John Glenn.
So moved.
Okay. Do you have any comments from the board?
I
All right,
want to
seeing
say
none.
I think that's awesome. I like how everything is coming back together. At the end of the day, it's about, creating the right environments, having the right personalities in the right schools. So I'm really excited about these changes that we're making today.
All right. Seeing no other comments, Ms. Hines, if you want to take the roll call vote?
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Ms. Abney Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. May,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. President Gray.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
It's me again. Mr. Kelly is on vacation, but he did want me just to share that he's very excited. He wanted to be at John Glenn and wanted to be the principal. He got asked to go on a couple other interviews that he declined because he really knows that he wants to be at John Glenn. Loves the staff there, loves the kids there. So he just wanted me to pass along thank you very much, and he's excited for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, I would like to make a recommendation for Ms. Mona Mallard to become the next Executive Director of Special Education. Ms. Mallard comes to us with a Bachelor's of Arts from Eastern Michigan University, a Master's of Arts from Eastern Michigan University, and educational leadership specials of education administration. I apologize. She comes to us with a specialist in educational leadership from Grand Valley University, along with certification with a professional ed certificate with the emphasis on autism spectrum disorder and cognitive impairment, elementary K-5 all subjects for K-8 all subjects in self-contained classroom, and a professional administrator certificate with elementary and secondary admin K-12. Prior to Ms. Mallard assuming this position, she was an SXI teacher with Dearborn Public Schools, an ASD teacher with Plymouth Canton Community Schools, a supervisor of special education here in Wayne-Westland, and most recently a director of special education here in Wayne-Westland. And at this time, I would like to make the recommendation for Ms. Mallard to become the next executive director of special education.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. All right, do I have any questions from the board, comments?
I like to say I love the
Science.
specialty in this whole education, like with that particular position and in that areas of expertise. So I'm really excited about this.
All right, seeing no other comments, Ms. Hines, if you want to take the vote?
Ms. Hines, yes. Ms. May,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Abney Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
and President Gray.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Ms. Mallard's actually on vacation right now, so she's not in attendance.
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Afili. The next item on is also you. 108.25, review and approval of Board of Education.
So at this time, I would like to make a recommendation that the Board of Education approves the board policy manual and admin regulation revisions and updates as presented by Miller and Johnson in the board packet.
We have a difficulty with that. Have we created the positions yet that were shown?
Are we talking regarding this, the manual?
Yes. There's been question among board members that it's asking for a position and that we have not filled those yet. And I apologize, I should have waited for a motion. Last page, for example, the superintendent designates the school's district's position.
Typically, there's a designee that would be,
And those designees are not created yet. Is that correct?
I would say the positions have been identified or can be identified if that's what the question is, Dr. Weaver.
Yes,
Yes, they have.
they have.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we know what the positions are?
We still don't have a motion. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Okay. Ms. May?
Yes, so do we know the position? Because the way the policy is written and what we're voting on, it just says position. So then, once we vote on it, anything could go in there. And so I just want to make sure, do you know what I'm saying? Because we're not voting on what the position is right now. Like, the policy reads for us to put a position in there. That's why that's highlighted.
So this, for the last page that you're referring to with the social media authorization, the superintendent designates that the school district's blank to review the board
Right.
policy, governing digital communication, and these administrative regulations at least annually.
Right.
That would essentially be the head of our technology for that specific position.
So the executive director of technology?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, they're not numbered, but it's the policy regarding students, 2000 AR series, under the cardiac emergency response plan. It says the school district's blank position will be responsible for the periodic review and implementation of these regulations.
There's 5 or 6 different other places too, though.
Oh, these are the two that I noticed,
Yeah.
but I just, if we're not clear on that,
That would be Gino, our director of buildings and grounds for that position.
so I
So we
didn't,
could review the positions that would go in those spots, but we do have identified personnel for all those spots.
okay,
They would be positions.
right, not
Not
people.
named, yeah.
Right, I understood that. I just want to make sure we know the positions and we're not voting on a policy that's not actually complete. Do you know what I mean? Because as it stands right now, it's not complete.
We just don't have the exact specific names, but we do have the identified personnel for all of the
Okay.
highlighted spots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we can vote on it if it's not. We just voting on positions. I mean, they have them, we don't have them. I think that, we should make a motion to table it until it's complete.
Did you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table the, Miller Johnson School Policy Services until it's complete and it's entirely for us to have a vote on it.
Do I have support for that motion?
Support.
Is going to affect August 1st, so you're gonna have to schedule another meeting.
Well, I mean, we can't vote on it as
I'm
is,
just
though.
letting you know.
Quick question,
Ms. Hines?
because when we're in the policy meeting, like, Dr. Weaver and I, they were just saying, like he said, like they have like the spots, it's just the particular people, you know what I'm saying? Like,
We can have another meeting if you want us to go page by page to tell you who those people are. All the
Well, I
people.
mean, it's, no.
for instance, like when we were in the meeting, we're talking about the cardiac, you know, we're saying like the person that's already certified, you know, like,
Correct.
in the meeting, when we had the policy meeting, it was kind of a little bit more clarity in the particular policy meeting.
Well, some of them are self-explanatory what they are, like the part for the cardiac, for the coaches and everything. But our position is it's just a position, it's not in there. Cause it can be positions, it could be more than one, you see what I'm saying? It could be any, it's like signing a blank check.
So we can identify the
Okay.
people for each one of those spots if you want. Before. Yeah, if you want to table for 1 second, I can give you the list of all the people for those positions. If you give me a second.
We could take a brief recess.
Yeah, that'd be
That's fine.
good.
Ms. Abby Mitchell, did you want to withdraw your motion to table them so that we can recess and have him provide us with those names now?
Yes, I'd like to withdraw my position
Okay.
to table it.
All right. How long do you think you need to get those?
10 minutes.
Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute recess to 7:50. All right, Dr. Feely, you said that you
Yep,
have all the
so-
names?
So I apologize for that. Every board member is going to receive a packet with the updated information of the positions that were highlighted in the updated packet. If you guys look at update 17.08, for the position that's supposed to be inserted, it's going to be the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources along with the Director of Student Services.
Okay.
For update 17.10, the position would be the Director of Buildings and Grounds. For update 17.11,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
just got a little sign.
Okay, for update 17.11, the position would be the Executive Director of Technology.
That's for both of those, under 17.11?
Yeah.
Just a clarification question, the optional, we are choosing to include the optional language?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. For, let's see, the section where it refers to reporting concerns about conduct that may be sex discrimination, the position would be the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and the Director of Student Services. And then the last position would be,
The Title IX coordinator is
Yeah.
also,
I hold that position.
Which one?
Title IX coordinator is also.
Oh, okay.
And then on that last page, I misspoke earlier, it would actually be for update 17.14, it will be the Director of Communications, not the Director of Technology. And then, like I said before, every member of the board will get an updated packet with all these positions in their hand by the end of business day tomorrow.
All right. The motion in front of us is still the motion to approve the policy changes. Do I have any questions, comments, now that we've updated this?
I just have one comment,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that's just to say thank you all for pulling this together for us so quickly, so thank you.
Okay, seeing no other comments, Ms. Hines, we're gonna take the vote.
Miss Ebony Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver.
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Ms. May,
Yes.
President Gray.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. The next item is recommendation of contract services with Michigan Benchmark for Financial Analytics. Ms. May?
Oh, I have one more.
Oh. I don't,
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
oh, okay. Oh, yeah, there's one in between. We'll come back.
All right, so it is me?
Yes,
Oh,
yep.
thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recommend entering into a contract with Michigan Benchmark for Financial Analytics Services for the purpose of improving our district's financial oversight for a year at a cost not to exceed $10,000.
Support.
All right. Do I have any questions from the board? Do have Mr. Walsh here if anybody has any questions for him? Okay, seeing no questions, Ms. Hines?
Ms. May,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Ebony Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
President Gray.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is 109.25, which is 2024-25 Staff Recognition and Appreciation Days. Dr. Feely.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to make a recommendation that the board approve the dates listed to recognize the individual employee groups for the important contributions they make to the overall success of our school district. The dates are listed in the board packet.
Move approval.
Support.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Comments? All right, seeing none, Ms. Hines. Vote.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. May,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Ms. Ebony Mitchell,
Yes.
President Gray.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is 110.25 Citizens Comment Non-Agenda Items. Again, if you do wish to speak during this section, make sure you filled out a form. They're at the door. We will still accept them while we're hearing from the individuals that have already submitted. The first one I received was from Steve Kahn.
Hi, I'm Steve Conham, the new WWEA union president. Just wanted to introduce myself to the board publicly, and I just want to let the community know that the WWEA does not have a contract yet. However, within the past month, I believe that the district has been bargaining in a better faith than they have previous to that. I'm just going to leave it at that, all right? We know the community is anxious to see what's going to happen with our contract. I just want to let the community know, and the teachers know, and the board know that we are working together. We are diligently getting the information that we need from a union perspective to put forward a positive tentative agreement for the union. I believe we've turned the corner, and I am excited to work with administration in the district, and I am confident that we've turned the corner. The positive things are on the horizon with this. So I just want to let the board know that and the community know. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conlon. Congratulations. And next we have Laura DeMarco.
I just wanted to come up and say that I have, like Mr. Khan, I've also seen so many changes recently, and that I am so appreciative and thankful for the work everyone is doing. I attended all 3 community forums last week, and all 3 of them, I felt very heard, I felt very considered from all administrative staff, from all board members who attended, and especially from Ms. Curry. She's, from a community perspective, I think she's been doing an amazing job, and the difference in the atmosphere has been incredibly clear. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone and commend the district for the way it is considering our community, considering staff and students, what they will need, and doing so in a transparent way, bringing forward things like the FAQ that they released this afternoon, and taking those questions that the community asked, because I was at those forums and the questions that were on there were things I heard people saying, I saw people putting on the window to record them, and they took those questions and answered them. Instead of saying, well, I don't know, and pretending they were going to find out and stringing us along for months. And it's so nice to see such a change. And one more thing I wanted to throw out as well. My understanding was that the idea of resuming using Cafe Marquette for the public had not been really looked into or considered a lot. But then on that second, and it was mentioned on the Tuesday community forum, and then on that second or third day, Ms. Curry came forward and said, yeah, we talked with the director of the Career and Tech Center, and we're going to make sure that we have a calendar of dates that the public can come to the cafe for the fall. And that, to me, seems like a really good indication that the administration is hearing us, listening, and putting these things into action. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is 111.25, the acting superintendent's report and comments. Ms. Curry had a pre-planned vacation before we kind of thrust her into this role, so we let her go. We let her go on it still. But she did provide me with some comments to read to the room. And this is coming from her, that's why it's in the first person. I want to thank everyone who has taken the survey and attended our community engagement meetings. This is a challenging time, and your input is invaluable as we work together to make informed decisions. We are committed to being transparent and ensuring that our community is informed every step of the way. The survey is open until July 19th, and we continue to review all feedback, assess costs, and evaluate the effectiveness of departments and programs as we plan for the upcoming Board of Education workshop on August 1st. During the workshop, we'll review all the feedback, costs of programs, staffing, facilities, and departments to define areas to reduce costs. We'll also share this information at the August Board of Education meeting. Additionally, we will continue to add to our FAQ as more questions arise, which you can view on our website. And I believe that FAQ did go out at 5 o'clock today. I think I saw the email. All right, and the next item on the agenda is 112.25, review and recommendations, Board of Education. And we'll start with Ms. May.
Thank you. So, keeping my comments pretty short, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you all for being here this evening. I really, really, really appreciate hearing the positive comments, so thank you for coming with those. The other pieces, I would like to take a few minutes just to congratulate Mrs. Bukowski, Mr. Furka, Mr. Kelly, and Mrs. Mallet in their new positions, as well as Mr. Khan. It is really nice to see us promoting from within, to see this whole idea of growing our own. So looking at those, as you read through the resumes briefly and just hearing how many people were with us or have been with us and they came back to us, that's very refreshing. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. The other piece that I just wanted to speak on is that as we continue to move forward and we know that we have to make some cuts and we're going to have some difficult decisions, one of the things that is somewhat of a struggle to me is looking at some of the purchases for curricular resources and really being able to decide what's needed and what we can, I don't want to say do without, but pause on, ensuring that our students are still receiving the best instruction, because I really think it's in the instruction and not so much as of in the materials. And so I wanted to share that publicly and to just share that as teachers are working with administration and you're having those conversations, just really understanding and thinking about how much, resources cost. Could this particular resource, could we do this a different way? Because this could potentially be a position versus resources. So just really having to shift some of the ways in which we do things. And I know that's difficult because change is hard. But I just wanted to share that because that's the lens that I'm looking at our purchases, and I know we have several things coming up. So I just wanted to share that piece. And with that, I just hope everyone enjoys the remaining days of July. Summer is moving fast. But thank you.
All right, Mr. Neal?
Yes, thank you. Over the last many months, many of you have offered us suggestions on how things should be done or should not be done. Many of you put in more time probably than we have overall when you look over the years on the board. I want to take this opportunity to tell you that the deadline for putting your application in to run for the board occurs in 8 calendar days or 6 work days. Dr. Weaver has submitted his name. There's 2 other people. And if you're so inclined, if you're interested in being involved in the board, I would highly suggest that you take the opportunity to submit an application with the city clerk. Thank you. That's it.
All right, Ms. Hines?
Yes, I like the positive changes that's going around. It's starting to feel like our family again, so this is exciting. I definitely enjoy all the hard work that we've been doing with these extra committees, really just digging deep, thinking outside of the box, even being on the property committee. I really love that because there's some other organizations that actually want to work with Wayne-Westland, so that's awesome to have those opportunities. The community meetings was amazing. We had the best groups. I mean, there was just so much information, even stuff because we've had so much turnover and a lot of change, and even with the whole Cafe Marquette, because I know Chef Tony put a lot into that when he had that program. So just kind of revisiting that, different ways to bring finances back to the district, even with the planetarium. We can sit there and have other communities come and pay money for our planetarium, and we spend all that money, to get updated. So there's lots of options. And then too, I like that we are going to be working closely with the state, month by month to get everything back on track. I'm really excited about that. I'm just feeling really positive. I see a new direction because at the end of the day, it can't rain every day. The sun has to come out sometime. So, and one thing I'd like to announce, the Westland DDA on Thursday nights has their Jazzy Nights for free with Alexander Jonick over at Tatton Park on Thursday nights for the next couple of Thursdays. So if you want to take your family to come out to listen to good jazz music, they have a farmer's market. It's a really good way to kind of be back in the community.
Mr. Cox?
President Gray, I'd like to extend my congratulations to Steve Kahn in his new role and wish you luck on behalf of your membership, and also thank you for your very constructive comments tonight. We certainly share those your optimism. I'd also like to, through the chair, to Dr. Weaver. Dr. Weaver, you are the chairman of the policy committee meeting, and at the last meeting, I called you earlier in the day and asked if there was any way you could extend it. Since not sitting in that chair, I've taken on some other responsibilities, and sometimes they keep me north of the city. I wish to continue to be on the policy committee, but I don't have as much control as I used to have about when I can leave. So we might have to talk about that, but I didn't want to be disrespectful to the members of the committee. I intended on being there, just at the last moment I couldn't. So I apologize for that. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Dr. Weaver.
I'd like to thank the community for all of their continued support. I am thankful that we are moving out of criticism to a place where we can work together. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. I first did want to congratulate the Ms. Bukowski, Mr. Perka, Mr. Kelly, and Ms. Mallet on their new positions tonight. I'll echo what other members have said about it. It's great to see us going internal for some of these positions. I was able to attend one of the community forums last week, saw some of you there, and it was a great opportunity for members of the community to come and be heard. A lot of good ideas came out of it, and I hope we'll be able to implement some of those ideas. I want to continue to thank Ms. Curry and the rest of the administration on all the great work you've been doing over the past couple months here. Not to put you on the spot, Ms. Campbell, are we allowed to talk about the Department of Ed tax assessment? Is that a done deal?
The tax assessment?
The Canton tax assessment?
Yeah. I don't
Okay,
see
I just figured that, you know, it's nice to be able to provide some good news.
we spoke about it at the finance committee.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, so Ms. Campbell has been doing a lot of work to try to, you know, find areas that we can save some money, and I know it was mentioned in a previous meeting that there was an issue with a tax assessment in Canton, that Ms. Campbell and Ms. Curry were able to work with the Department of Education to get that spread out over a few years. So you'll see in an amended budget that we'll be getting here next month that you know, the situation is a little better than we thought it was going to be because of that. Also, I know there have been some questions at the community forum. It was discussed that we had already eliminated some positions, finding about a savings of almost $1 million right there. The question I've seen people ask were since these people had already left their positions before, was that already factored in? And no, that wasn't factored in. These were decisions not to fill these positions that have been made since then that are going to be savings that you'll see reflected as well in that amended budget. So, you know, we are turning a corner. We're getting there. We've already made a lot of decisions to get us to where we need to be, and we're going to continue making those, and you'll be seeing a lot more at the August meeting. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here, and thank you for, you know, bearing with us over these past few months. With that, last item on the agenda is 113.25, and that is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.